Hello, hiya. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hiya. Can you hear me properly? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I can hear. I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just check it, and we want to wait a little bit more just for people to join in.
All right. It's all right.
Okay. Then when we're about to start, I'm going to ask you just to switch off the microphone, okay? Just to not to hear all the noises, please. So, but we'll wait a little bit more.
Hey, excuse me, you're talking without a microphone on.
Yep. Now, can you hear me now?
Now
Sorry, can
I'm
you hear
talking
me?
with a microphone all the time.
Is it now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, sorry. Well, I was saying before here that you can write to this contact here, to this email address, in case you can't have any questions, and writing it down and email it later on, okay? And first as well, I wanted to thank you to be here to attend this webinar and just take it this time, there's a little time for us, okay? Well, I wanted to introduce a little bit what we're going to talk about, a little bit about us, to put you in context about the solutions, to talk about the solutions itself, and the support to families. That's why we're here now, okay? So about us is EM Learning is a company, a Spanish company that distributes education solutions with technological basis. And what we wanted, our objective is just to create or teach a kind of students that would be able to develop social skills and the ability to adapt to diverse work atmosphere. But mainly the main purpose is just the students be the center of the learning process. So in this context, what we want to just nowadays is the digital area, the area and the information and the technology. So there were a lot of jobs that they become more old-fashioned. So a lot of them, they become a new job, and with the different technology as we can have here as an example in McDonald's or the airport, just surrounded by machines. So what we want our children is to be able to be ready for the future. So now I'm going to present this video, and we're going to listen to about this, what abilities our children we should have to learn for the future. Let's see.
For society to work, we need all sorts of disciplines and types of skills. What skills do you think will be most important for our kids to learn for the future?
The skills you need for work, for learning, and for citizenship in the 21st century have converged. They are the same skills. You know, lots of people make different lists, but I think it comes down to just a few things. All students are going to need to learn how to think critically. And what that means from my previous research is that students need to know how to ask really good questions. In today's world, being able to ask good questions is much more important than memorizing easy answers. The second skill they need is the ability to collaborate. Increasingly, all work is done collaboratively. The third skill that's important are good communication skills, both oral and written communication, but also the ability to listen. Finally, students need to be creative problem solvers. You know, I found in my research there are two kinds of innovations. There are the innovations that bring new possibilities to life, and that's a matter of a particular time and talent converging, like a Steve Jobs. Then there are the innovations that are the result of creative problem solving. And I'm finding that creative problem solving is increasingly the coin of realm. It's the skill in highest demand. So those are the four skills that are important, but in addition, there are a few dispositions that I think are important as well. Habits of mind, habits of the heart, if you like. Being able to be empathetic, I think, is extremely important in today's world. Persevering, tenacity, self-discipline, of course, but also a strong moral outlook on life, a sense of what's inherently right and wrong. I think these are the qualities, these are the skills that everyone is looking for in the workplace today, and they're the same skills you need for learning and for citizenship. You know, the role of the teacher has to change. It's not just what we teach, it's not just how we teach, it's who we are in the classroom. Traditionally, teachers have worked in the context of knowledge scarcity. But today, that's not true. Knowledge is a commodity. It's free. It's on every internet-connected device. You don't need a school or a teacher to acquire knowledge. So what then is a teacher in the 21st century? I would argue a good teacher is a performance coach, coaching students to a higher performance standard. A good teacher understands the world from which students come and the world for which students have to be prepared. And so they're constantly coaching students to better standards. So I would like to see every school or every school system have what I call an innovation fund to which teams of teachers can apply to try new things. Well, what is the research and development budget for our schools? That's a joke because they don't have any. You know, when I did research on young innovators, I discovered that both parents and teachers had explicitly encouraged intrinsic motivation and empowerment through three things: play, passion, and purpose. We are born curious, creative, imaginative. That's the human DNA. The average 4-year-old asks 100 questions a day, and almost every kindergartner thinks of himself or herself as an artist. But then something happens, something we call school. Because you see, by the time children are 10 or 11 or 12, they've stopped asking questions and started worrying about getting the right answers instead for the tests. And almost none of them think of themselves as artists. If we understand that the world cares most about what you can do, not merely what you know, and that we are moving away from the false credentials of seat time served in schools to the genuine competencies demanded in the 21st century, how is an employer or a college going to know what skills students have? Well, there's the one best way for them to know is to look at student work. So more and more, we're seeing a trend towards e-portfolios or digital portfolios. There's lots of platforms out there. In fact, more and more employers are saying, I want to see samples of your work. I want to see what you can do. Don't just tell me what you've done. Show me. You know, I see parents today as being often quite anxious. They see a world that is much more competitive than the world they grew up in. And so quite naturally, they want to coach their kids to be perfect little children, to get into the perfect little school, and then to get into the perfect little college, and then go to the perfect little job. Well, that doesn't work. There is no competitive advantage in going to prestigious schools anymore the way there once was. As I said, the world cares about what you can do with what you know, not where you went to school. So what can a parent do? I think one of the most important things parents can do is encourage young people to find and pursue real interests interests that could grow into passions. You know, we talk a lot about grit, about tenacity and perseverance, self-regulation, self-discipline. But how do you learn those things? Not because you have a tiger mom sitting on your shoulder, yelling in your ear, yeah, you go do your homework. No, one learns perseverance through pursuing real interests that become passions. So a young person who pursues a real interest, an interest that could become a passion and then a purpose, is creating their own world. It may not be the world their parents would have wanted for them. It may not be a world of fame or fortune, but it will be their world. We need to reimagine education for the innovation era. We need to reimagine education for work, learning, and citizenship, where we have incredible powers and opportunities to create and enormous challenges facing us as a species. And we have to all commit to that. This is not as if it's anyone's fault. This is not the fault of educators or our leaders. All of us need to understand the need for a fundamentally different kind of education. And we're going to have to come together and co-create it together.
Okay. So having listened to that, we just related to the definition of intelligence according to Howard Gardner, that is said as the capability or capabilities to solve problems. But here with us for Progrentis is the skills to solve these problems. That's what we wanted to develop. That's a skill in our children. So if we look back in time, we can see the evolution of the education. So if we back to the 17th century, when the British Empire just created what we call the school for the necessity to prepare the society for the incoming industrial revolutions, and then we pass through the time with our behaviorist model. So when the memorization was very important, read and write, and the students were very passive creatures, and then evolved to the 19th or till when the internet arrived, and 2006, for example, with the cloud, till nowadays in 2020, with all this new situation with the pandemic that forced the ITUs to force the e-learning, to force the autonomy. So what we wanted in Progrentis is that our child is being educated for their everyday life and just can develop these skills that we need nowadays. So based on that, our 4 main learning objectives are the attention span, digital citizenship, comprehension 360, and thinking skills. So we're going to see each one later. Now I'm going to just play this video, very interesting and short one about by Daniel Goleman about the attention span. Okay. If I play, we can hear. Sorry.
It may surprise you to know that attention is like a muscle in the arm, and that there are exercises, mental exercises that improve attention, that strengthen the brain circuitry for attention, just like you'd go to the gym and you do some reps on a Cybex machine and get a stronger tricep. These exercises are very simple, but very effective. The social emotional learning curricula have many that are developmentally appropriate so that you teach the same lesson in different ways as children's cognitive abilities expand with brain growth and as they go through the grades. One of the most effective is something called the stoplight. It's a poster on the wall of a classroom. It says, when you're upset, remember the stoplight. Red light, stop, calm down, think before you act. Yellow light, think of a range of different things you could do now and what the outcome would be. Green light, pick the best one and try it out. It's a highly effective method.
See, as Daniel Goleman said, the attention is a muscle that we need to train. It's just when we go to the gym, so we need to focus in this 4 kind of attention, and that in that way we can we produce the creation on neural networks that produce the learning. So we focus with all the tasks that we work on in this 4 kind of attention, so we can train about that. So our second learning objective is the digital citizenship. So the main question that we do is what do we search when we want to solve a problem? So obviously, what do we want to search on the internet? Yeah, if we just try to look for the COVID-19, we can just get millions and millions of results. And then, but this is just a lot of information. Is huge, the amount of information that we can get if we just click in on the internet. But then what we need to think about it is where do we start from? Because we used to say, or we say, like our children are digital natives, but actually where they are just digital consumers. So we need to be careful and be selective to know what do we need to start from and how to filter that a huge amount of information and what sort we can choose. Pick the right one, the good one. So differentiate when there can be fake news, the good information that we really need. It's not only copy and paste this information. So select and distinguish and differentiate the good information that we can get from the internet. Because that's why we try to train about the digital skills. It's not only to just search, and one of the searches like Firefox or Safari or Chrome, yeah, is to find and filter that information. It's very important that our children are able to do that. So then we need to go to the next, our learning objective. As I say, we can get a lot of data, and this just made it data, like if we talk about IT, just made it zeros and one. So this data, what we want is just to become an information. That's it, that our children are able to become that, to get that information and the student learn, and this information becoming into knowledge, and then you just to get to the next step in the pyramid that just become into wisdom. If we just have a look to the traditional schools, they all been doing the same method. First is the coding with the graphing or the phonics, working on that. Once they have done this, the children are able to do that. They'll become more fluently on reading it. And then the next step is that our children are able to understand what they're reading. So when they start, we think, okay, it's not too complicated to understand that. So we just load them with more amount of reading, but what is about that? Because if they're not able to read properly, they're not going to understand. So what we want is just to focus in a different way of teaching, like from the early years, we start the literacy. So to focus on the visual discrimination, be able to do pattern and sequences. The next step in the ladder would be to learn to read with the main ideas from the literal understanding inferential understanding, sorry. And then even the last step, they're going to be able to learn by reading. So like compare and contrast multiple meanings or critical understanding. That is our purpose. So we can see here the different levels of understanding. The first step, literal understanding, inferential understanding, and critical. In the first one, they just understanding the text, what it said itself, who, words, or whatever. And then the inferential, they're going to be able to make some questions themselves, to read between lines. And in the last level, they are able to just give opinions and make judgment about what they're reading as well. And the last step, our fourth learning objective, is about the thinking skills. Okay, how would you say, related to the one before, we can say the three levels: literal, inferential, and critical, where they are able to perceive, discriminate, name, match, sequence it. In the second step, they're going to be able to compare, contrast, cause and effect, estimate, interpret, or describe. And the last step, as we mentioned before, our children are prepared and ready to debate, to argue, to be more critical. This is basically the four steps for the thinking skill: reasoning, analysis, logic, and synthesis. Summarizing of them, I'm going to just explain, read this one. When the students understand, and we say it in capital letters, we allow them to interpret a text, a conversation, a fact, even argue, even either it says reading, listen, or write, and just to suggest, to recommend innovative solutions from different contexts. So all these are our main skills, but now is how do we do it in Progrentis? we do it through these methodologies, as we see before, but then basically in micro tasks with immediate feedback. The children started to practice the activities, and actually, in fact, they just immediately, they're going to receive an information, a feedback. It's in green, it means that they're doing okay. And in red is they doing it wrong. And as well, it's just immediately with the time, they got a letter like that marking the time. We're doing sessions of reading in time. So mainly it's 1 hour a week where we just divide it in sessions that I can practice and develop with these skills, these tasks with that are working in Progrentis, sorry. And as well, as I mentioned before, one of the objectives is that our children be able to work individually. This program makes a personalization at the beginning when they started to work. So it marks the reading of each student himself. So they not being anxious, or the level of anxiety is reduced because they just work on their own rhythm. If one child need to work, imagine at 80%, that's going to be the rhythm. They don't have to work at 100% as the rest of the class. So everyone has their own pace and rhythm. And as I said as well, because we wanted to just be competence in nowadays late, so we work and assess about the competencies that they work on the program. Now, it's just I'm going to explain a little bit each solution itself, what your children want in the school. Yeah, we got these 5 products. It's pre, when we have two levels, pre 1 and 2, ABC, this 1, 2, 3 as well. Mentor as well, divided in 3 levels according to the age of each child as well. Mentor 1, mentor 2, and mentor 3. Elite, which is as well divided as well in 3. Elite 1 and 2 and 3, and Pro, that when they start to work from when they are 16 and on. I'm going to show you a little bit this one. This is Pre. Just let you know as well that the program, the solution are all in Spanish, okay? So we're going to make a little example that they can do. For example, this one, we can find this thing with the colors. In this one, the level is so low because they haven't started to learn properly. So it's accompanied with that sound. So they just need to listen.
Marca la figura que tiene el mismo color.
So they're just giving you the instructions that they need to click in the figure that has the same color. So we're going to start. See, that is the line time, but they can marking you the time they take to do the activity, and then they click. This is the feedback when they write. And this is when they wrong, which is a little bit red, okay? This is a kind of exercise they can practice. So carry on. This one, this is in prep. So this is the lower level, and they haven't started to read yet. So that's why it's with the sound. So it's making it easy for them. The next level is ABC. This is how they seen it with this character that is called Tom. As long as they just progressing and making the achievement, the goals, they just change the transport, like here and in the tutor, they can see the unit where they're working and the percent that have completed already. And this is the kind of different application that they can work on. We're going to do another example so you can see. For example, this one is for the directions, okay? So they need to click on the picture that they have the correct direction as it shows is there, okay? Again, you can see the time of the line time, and we click in this one, and as well, we got the feedback immediately, okay? This is an example. Then after the ABC, they're going to work in mentor. They change a little bit more because as they are growing up, they can see here the unit, what they wanted, the percent that they completed, the points that they can get in the unit, and the level of the IPD, the Digital Productivity Index. That is the one that the program measure at the beginning once they start. Okay, so we're going to see another example. For example, retention. This. They say that they need to look at the pictures, and this is show this one in the table. I'm clicking the one that has changed. So they just show you this one for a second, and then we need to click in that one. Is it right, or maybe is wrong? Okay, so that kind of a lot of exercises. Then after that, they going up. Okay, just a second, because I think they are not seeing the screen. Really?
¿Entera?
No puedo ver los ejemplos.
¿No lo están viendo? Let me just, yeah, double check. See. Yeah, they are seeing. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, that's fine. Just double check that you're seeing it.
We can see that perfectly.
Okay, thank you. I'm making no sure, just to make sure you're doing it, because otherwise I'm doing it for nothing. So, okay. In Elite, they changed. So in here, they stop working with this character of the group of friends, and they become a little bit more serious as they growing up. So this is all they can see and work on it. They can see the profile here as well, the unit they're working at, and the percent that they completed. Okay. And the last one is this Pro, just from the for last year on the secondary school. And this is how they can see it. In Pro, they work in a different way. They just work in like a learning scenery, we call it like that. So they need to carry on and follow this path from point to point to get coins or gems or everything. They can have the avatar here, they can buy and they can personalize, they can get the points here as well. And in this one, we work with the global goals by the United Nations. And then as well is based on the taxonomy of Bloom. These four verbs. So like remember, understanding, apply, and analyze. So every time when they just growing up, it's becoming a little bit harder and more critical, as we mentioned before. Then in our platform, one solution for every school age. At the end of all of them, our children are going to be able to work with 40 reading and digital skills, plus 56 math and computer language skills. And as we mentioned before, we focus in these 4 attention skills, like we were just the one we were talking before. And this is the time when this is a support for you. Just we created this one as additional service as the pedagogical advisory team, and we can provide more resources, more information, sorted out any kind of question that you have. As well, let you know that you can use this app for the parents. That's are the circumstances that the last year and as well this year, if your children are going to work at home. So it's a good idea, or even at the school, you can just follow and make the following how they progress, how are they doing. And the virtual reading club, because we wanted just to join into this club, to join and love reading and improve that's reading skills. This is about the IPD Pro, the app that you can download it and make the following for your child. It's in Spanish, but at least you can see the IPD index here. You can follow the kind of activities they're doing it, the improvement, the performance here as well, which one have they passed, which one have they done, and you can follow the progress in here with the app. It just help you, okay? And this is what we wanted to show you today. Very, very thank you. Thank you so much for attending and listening. And here as well, once more, I can. Okay, go for questions.
The first one is, does it work in Chrome?
Yes, perfectly. Does it work perfectly in Chrome when they're using it?
And they're asking because you show something similar to like games, and they're asking about the comprehension reading. And
it's one of the options. If you just click on that one on the menu, we can display more options for the reading comprehension and that kind of activity. I just show you just a little bit, but in the menu, they can access of this kind of activities as well. even with the books as well for all the reading activities.
And the next one is how to read text again without timing. The timing is one of the things that our system works
Yeah.
with. I don't know if they can.
I don't know if they can hear you. Don't know.
That's it to them.
Tell me what they said.
The thing is, because when they are reading, they are doing like the test.
Yeah.
They can see the time.
Yeah. Yes. When it's a big text, this one is just a little text, but when they reading the text, they can see the timing as well there. They can show you the second that they're taking and reading it and everything. So they have the information on the screen.
Just to let them know that we are going to record this.
Okay, yes, as well. Just one more thing is we are recording this video, and as well we can give you we can pass it on in case you just wanted to watch it again. And as well, we got the details here. If any time you can contact us and ask any other question, we can try to sort it out and support you in anything that we can do for you. Okay. Thank you so much for being here for us and attending this and taking this time. Thank you so much.